What the hell is this little tea party?
We're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
First of all, gay.
So Stern Pinball has made it official that their next cornerstone title is in fact Dungeons and Dragons. And as I go through Facebook, Pinside, on my Patreon, that it seems like there's just not a lot of hype or excitement for this title. And in a way, I'm right there with you, but for different reasons. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel where I talk and do everything pinball. So if that sounds interesting to you, then hit that subscribe button down below. My God, it's growing. Not only am I getting old, I'm just letting it go full neck beard. And I guess that kind of segues into being a neckbeard when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons. Not necessarily that only people that play Dungeons and Dragons have the neckbeard thing going on. Anyways, I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I also want to sort of, I don't know, come out. It's not the right phrase I want to use for this, but I want to explain why I have excitement for this title and why I do not. And let's just get the negative out of the way right now. The main reason that I'm hesitant on this game, and I have expressed this on every video regarding this, is mainly due, and this is going to make for probably a very awkward moment when I do visit Stern, but the last 3 games that Brian Eddy has released, I don't care for. I just don't like how they shoot. And I don't know how else to say it. I mean, that's just blunt and to the point. His 3 titles that he has released since he has returned to pinball, I don't care for. I think out of the 3, the one that I guess is better is Mandalorian, but he came in with Stranger Things, which is no shock, and that whenever I first played it, hated it. And Mandalorian was kind of like, yeah, okay, it's there, but it's not a game that I want. And then obviously when Venom got released, that has been a game that I just think is just empty. The Pro, no. I mean, I have my own opinions on that, but I think Venom is probably the worst. But if you like Venom, I'm glad you do. But I mean, as it stands, when it comes to just Pinside and where his games are at, Mandalorian sits at position 45 in the top 100, and Uncanny X-Men is at 52. That's for a different video. But Stranger Things is currently sitting at number 22, and Venom is at spot 60. And Brian, your Shadow game is at 56. That is the thing, is that he has created some of my favorite games. I'm looking forward to getting a remake of Medieval Madness. I would love to have an Attack from Mars. I want the Shadow, but after that, not so much. That's where I don't know yet. I need to play it and see it to see if we get the old Eddie back kind of thing. That's where I want to see this go. So that is my hesitation on this, is merely historically, I have not found his most recent titles to be fun. But let's go on to what does have me excited about this game. And that is merely the fact that I'm hoping, because we don't really know, but I'm hoping there is the RPG aspect and the leveling thing that you saw on Venom, which didn't really make much sense. But I think this is really, when I say it doesn't make sense, it's like you're leveling up your Venom characters. I get it, but leveling is going to make so much more sense in the world of Dungeons and Dragons from an RPG aspect. And for those that don't know what RPG stands for, role-playing game. So, moving on. And what's interesting, let me go to my middle monitor right here, is that if you go to the website that says Wizards of the Coast, this is the first thing you see on the Stern trailer is Wizards of the Coast. I didn't know anything about this, but you go to their website, and these are the 4 games that I'm guessing that they are all about, or that they create content for. I don't know if it's licensing or whatever, but they have Dungeons and Dragons right here. And they've got all kinds of stories or articles or information or games to buy or whatever. But that's available, and it's kind of interesting to see their logo at the very beginning of it before anything else. I thought that was a little interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen. I know Stern's obviously created games that as it involves other license holders and everything, but I don't know of many that you see their logo before it. I think Godzilla, you had Toho at the beginning, maybe, but I don't think it's too common, is what I'm saying. Anyways, so on to what I want to get onto this about. What I like about Dungeons and Dragons is obviously I never played the board games. It's like I think my brother did a little bit, and we played other games. Like, and some of you may have played this, and this is what I say. I'm coming out a little bit, is that when it comes to like RPGs or some board games, I'm a little bit of a nerd on that. A little bit. Not extreme, but a little bit. And in the same thing, I think for me, I lean towards more for the video game aspect of RPGs. I spent a good amount of my time playing World of Warcraft back in the day, mainly during the Lich King expansion. That was my favorite. At that point in time, in like 2007, 2008, it was almost like my second job. But other games that have to deal with developing a character, creating a character, and then leveling it up, getting gear, and progressing through the game, I'm very familiar with. And my wife is too. She plays her Diablo 4 currently. I've been playing a lot of Path of Exiles 2, as these are action RPGs, but the fact remains is that you have a character and you progress through a story and level up, you get better gear, and that's just the gist of it, kind of thing. I mean, when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons, I think this is also going to be beneficial for Pinball because they can pretty much create their own damn story. You have the Game Master, which is going to be, I don't know if it's going to be like a different tale every time. It seems like the title of the game, it mentions like a particular story. I don't have it on me right now. I'm sorry. Let me go to the Tyrant's Eye. That's, I guess, the story for this particular dungeon. But the thing is with Dungeons and Dragons is that you had the Game Master that would create the world. And it could be whatever that Game Master wanted it to be, kind of thing. And you would create a character. And then you would progress through. I mean, if you've ever seen the show Community, there is a Dungeons and Dragons episode, Season 2, Episode 14. If you can find it, I highly recommend it. It's funny, but it also gives you an idea of what Dungeons and Dragons is like.
I'm an archer and such.
Ew, Hector the Well-Endowed? I bet.
I didn't know you just grabbed one at random. I made that one with Troy in mind.
Yeah, I bet you did.
And that's the thing, is we don't know if this is going to be based on some kind of cartoon or anything like that, but it looks like it's going to be its own little story, and which I'm on board for. Good. I'm glad it's not about the movies, and from what I can see so far, it looks like it has potential. And when it comes to showing the one thing you see, the mech, that you're not going to get in the pro. That's what they have a tendency to do on these teasers, is they show you the wow moment that you're not going to get in the pro model for this game. And that looks to be familiar to the T-Rex that is in Jurassic Park. Now, whether or not it's going to eat the ball, I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see on that. I feel like if it doesn't eat the ball, then all hellfire is going to happen. But I do have a curiosity to how this game is going to be played when it comes to the story and the code. Because this is Dwight Sullivan on code, and I feel like he's going to go full nerd on this, which could be a good thing, but also a bad thing. Because you have to worry about, is the code going to be too complex for a lot of people out there? Is it going to be just so deep that people can't follow it? They're like, I don't know. And if that's the case, then hopefully the game itself is just fun to shoot. Because I know a lot of people, including myself, that loves the Avengers Affinity Quest. They don't know much about the code, it's too complex, but damn it, the game is fun to shoot. So it could be one of these games where you may not understand what's going on, but hopefully at least the layout is fun. But I feel like Dwight, as someone that seems like a guy, because he was already on board with the whole Venom and leveling up your characters, I feel like more than likely, when you push the start button on this game, I'm hoping, these are hopes, that you, especially when you use Insider Connected, you create a character. Like, what do you want to be? Like, cycle through the different types of classes. And classes meaning, do you want to be a wizard? Do you want to be a sorceress? Do you want to be a warrior? Maybe a paladin? I mean, it's up to them what kind of characters you're going to see in this game. And each character is going to have different perks or abilities that are going to contribute to your experience within this game. And I'm more than willing to bet that you're going to be leveling up, and as you level up, I'm wondering if you're going to be able to learn new abilities or skills that are going to make the game easier or maybe even harder. But I do believe that the whole leveling up is going to make much more sense and be well more integrated in this type of theme. And that's what I'm really curious about most about Dungeons & Dragons Pinball is the code portion of it. And since that, Dwight, you've had an extra 3 months at least to work on this game when it comes to code, so I'm expecting it to be pretty far along. When you had more time with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that game released with 1.0 code. Are we going to get 1.0 code on Dungeons & Dragons? I hope so. You've had more time, but we shall see on that, but I do expect it to be further along than Uncanny X-Men. That's for damn sure. If it ain't further along than X-Men, then what the hell are you guys doing over there? So I'm looking at the one single little tidbit that we get when it comes to what's inside the game, and it looks like we're going to be getting the typical 3 shots straight up the damn middle to the main mech, which is going to be the dragon. It looks like you have 3 targets that you're going to hit, and those are going to lower down, probably similar to Attack from Mars. I'm going to try to enhance this inside Premiere, and maybe we can brighten it up a little bit, but it looks like it's going to be that type of game where it's going to be mainly up the middle to hit these targets and to get in there to possibly take down the dragon. That's speculation at this point, but from what I can tell so far, that looks like the way it's going to be. But it's interesting to read some of the information I see online in regards to the interest or anticipation for Dungeons & Dragons. Obviously, this game is going to be hitting a different demographic than a lot of other games. That's the beauty of this hobby. And that's also what I love about it. I'm glad that not every game that gets released by a manufacturer is something that I want. I am glad whenever that particular theme reaches to a different demographic, though. Sweet. This may bring in different people, or it may just draw a resurgence even further into the interest in Dungeons & Dragons. I mean, if it's a theme that doesn't interest me, I'm perfectly fine with that. As long as the game is good, and I feel like you're getting, as much money's worth out of it as you possibly can, but that's going to be damn difficult at today's prices. But I think it's really going to come down to code that's going to really spark my interest on this one. Hopefully, Brian, you do well in the design. But I'm keeping my expectations low, and I'm sure that makes me sound like a complete ass, but my expectations are low, so the good thing about that is that it can only go up from there. Right? So tell me I'm not the only one of you out there that has an interest in role-playing games, whether it be board games or playing online. I'm more of the online game player because I'm a very visual person. I like to see my characters, and I like to be able to do all types of controlling or dodging or whatever. I like to be in control. Whereas I feel like this is going to be interesting when it comes to pinball is that Dungeons & Dragons, there's a lot of randomness in there. That's why you have a 20-sided die, is that you're rolling to see if you have a successful hit or a decision that you make is successful. And when it comes to tournaments, you can't have randomness. So obviously there's going to be a tournament mode on here where you're not going to have the randomness that more than likely this game is going to be integrating. That's going to be something interesting to see as well. But let me know in the comments section down below what your current thoughts and feelings are for Dungeons & Dragons, and we'll see what the game looks like here in the next week.